Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. This episode, we're going to be taking a look at a piece by the AI generative artist known as ΛЯΜIX. And in this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about framing through placement. We're going to talk about the metaphysical scenes of fantasy, and we're also going to talk about the profound power of OpenAI's DALL-E II. So let's jump right into it. So whenever you first see this work, you're met with the scene of a lone wizard kind of in the middle of this clock in this really bright scene here. You'll notice just this intensity of light. It definitely catches the eye. And this almost like a plus or a cross shape really draws us and pulls us into that center space for sure. And so with that in mind, we see this kind of dust or magic cloud behind our main subject here. And our subject silhouette is the perfect thing against this backing. Of course, we see that dark on light contrast. That really defines the form of our subject, of course, accents its placement, and it really draws the eye, of course. Then you have those kind of glowing pinkish red eyes. Those definitely draw the attention. A little bit of color-based rarity there as well. So I think that's also important to know. And so in this, we see just an incredible use of light. There's no doubt that light is the most important element within the work at hand. And so we see this, of course, we see this massive streak that we just talked about. See a bit of radiance coming around that as well. The entire form or frame of our large clock here is also possessed by that kind of divine light. And you'll see all of that is set against this midnight kind of starting. So there is this sense of the divine, there is this sense of extreme energy as well. And so in the realm of color, we see not too many colors, of course, like we said, that midnight black backing. We have those white dots of the stars, a little bit of texture there. We have blue, and then we have, just red, reddish pink, blue, white, and black. So that creates a really focused piece. Of course, it maximizes the kind of definitive elements of the work at hand. If you're going to have less color, then any use of that color will likely be maximizing form and the visual impact of that. So I think that's also important to note. And so with this in mind, we see a kind of like an analog clock here, a very classic clock. And of course, you have the Roman numerals going all around as well. And this actually frames our subject quite masterfully. And this actually works alongside these kind of outer areas as well. All of that works to bring the attention and elevate the importance of our center subject. Of course, everything appears to revolve around our center subject, so that elevates the visual impact, but also elevates the symbolic importance of the content within the work at hand. All of that's incredibly important to note, and I think that framing is just a really underrated element of the spatial composition and art as a whole. Whenever we use a sense of framing or kind of a harmony within the elements, it's just always really nice to see. And so with that in mind, what do you guys think we're looking at? Of course, we have a lone subject, what appears to be a wizard with some type of wizard hat, kind of maybe a nebula, maybe a galaxy, and then of course a clock all around that. And so, with that in mind, what do you guys see whenever you view this work? I actually have a quick quote from the original artist that the artist paired with this piece, so we're going to look at that real quick. So, quote, "Some ambitions are just too extreme. You cannot control time with magic. You will doom us all. You have to let go." And so that's kind of a bit of context within this work. So the attempt to control time with magic, and then the inevitable consequence that's suggested, which is dooming us. And then so you have to let go. So there's this sense of relinquishing control. Perhaps the wizard here, of course, we see those red eyes that normally denote some type of evil or some type of maybe what would you say, malevolent status of our subject here. It's hard to say for sure, although we see some ambitions are just too extreme. You cannot control time with magic. You will doom us all. You have to let go. So perhaps the wizard here is trying to control time with magic, trying to control elements that are much higher than him, with of course, the ambitions to do so, and the inevitable consequence seems to be dooming us. So there's this kind of strike for power that we're looking at within the theme at hand. It's really hard to say for sure, although we do see those great ambitions in trying to control something which cannot be controlled. So I think that's really, really nice introduction. We see, of course, next is going to be space and time. So like I said, we have that kind of galaxy nebula, this really starry backing as well. And then we have the passage of time symbolized through the analog clock. So with all that together, maybe we're looking at some type of time travel piece, definitely magic within the work at hand. We see the wizard, we see the classic wizard hat, maybe even some magic at the tip of that hat, that represents the peak or the ascendant place of that. So I think that's also important to note as well. But there is this sense of magic for sure, whether it's that iridescent light, whether it's, that glowing kind, almost like a portal emerging from that analog clock. All of that creates a very masterful, very memorable visual experience. And so with that in mind, we're seeing definitely a metaphysical area here. Yeah, like I said, I'm leaning towards a portal here, maybe some type of time travel. Of course, great ambitions coming from that description. But we are looking at a sacred scene or some type of divine display here. And so with that in mind, what do you guys see? Definitely think about what this is. It's hard to say for sure, although we see perhaps an overly ambitious wizard. And so with that in mind, we're looking at an AI generative art piece. And AI generative art has just unlocked a whole new world of creativity for a lot of people that don't really have the, say, day-to-day skills to, draw an incredible thing or to illustrate an incredible thing. They can use AI generative art as a really, really incredible kind of mode of accessibility to create that art. I think that's incredibly empowering for everyone across the world. And so this was created with DALL-E II. So this is an AI generative art program. And so this is one of many. You have Midjourney, you have Disco Diffusion, you have Stable Diffusion, you have DALL-E II, bunch of programs. OpenAI's DALL-E II is likely going to be the most powerful one that you can get your hands on at the moment. Just some incredible scenes. I've actually been working with it a bit myself, but getting a bit off topic. This is a DALL-E II piece. You can see that signature in the bottom right. All creates a very memorable visual experience. Although I wasn't able to get the prompt here, perhaps it's that poem or quote, although it's hard to say for sure. I wasn't able to get the original text, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely one of the best pieces I've seen coming from DALL-E II, and that's really saying something. Some incredible scenes coming from both this artist and the entire DALL-E II community as a whole. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hope you guys learned something. My name is Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.